Either we are there or not, ITSP Magazine still gets the best stories. There are plenty of conferences and all sorts of events that spark our curiosity and allow us to start conversations with some of the world's brightest minds. In person or virtually, we sit down with them at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Together, we discover what the synergy of these three elements means for the future of humanity. Knowledge is power, now more than ever. CrowdSec, the collaborative and open source cybersecurity solution. Analyze behaviors, respond to attacks, and share signals across the community for free. Let's make the internet safer together. Learn more at crowdsec.net.
EdgeScan offers continuous vulnerability intelligence as a service, accurately identifying vulnerabilities and exposures across the full stack. All threats are verified by cybersecurity experts, providing exploitable risk and remediation guidance, virtually false positive free. Learn more at edgescan.com.
Pantera, the leader in automation security validation, allows organizations to continuously test the integrity of all cybersecurity layers by emulating real-world attacks at scale to pinpoint the exploitable vulnerabilities and prioritize remediation towards business impact. Learn more at www.pantera.io.
Marco.
Sean.
Click your heels 3 times.
So I go back home? What if I'm going to go somewhere away from home? How does that work?
We'll have to see. Innovation happens all the time. I think 3 clicks might do something different than it did a few years ago.
Could be.
Or maybe home is hacker summer camp. That's where you feel
now when you click 3 times in the modern days, your shoes get ransomware.
That's right. There's that too. Where do you want to go? 5 Bitcoin, please.
Do the shoes come with a 2FA nowadays or not? You have to do 3 clicks and then maybe you have to, they call you and then you add another piece of code in there. I don't know. It's getting weird already, Sean. Wonder why.
Well, feels I think we have a history of being weird with this crew. That's for sure. It is like a circus, and we are on the road virtually to Las Vegas for Black Hat and DEF CON, and I don't know. Some of my favorite conversations happen in the villages or with the village teams. Tons of innovation, tons of cool people. And I mean, we were talking before we started, a couple of the villages we kicked this off with many years ago, IoT and ICS. And we have the ICS Village, a couple of the leaders on with us, Bryson, Bort, and Tom VanNorman. Thanks, guys, for being on.
Good to see you all again. It has been a few years, and we remember those episodes kicking things back off and helping come up with the metaphor of the villages as a traveling circus.
That's right. Those episodes were called Unusual Gatherings, by the way.
At the time, yes. That's right. Yeah. And I had to explain a few times what I meant with that, right? You know, it's not because it was a funny thing, like, you know, a circus, like a crazy thing, but a circus because it goes around eventually, and we bring the show to everyone instead of being the people that have to come to the show. In this case, DEF CON and Las Vegas. And I think for one reason or another, and we're going to talk about this, we got there with the virtual world that we had to start living with because of the pandemic, which at this point I think is the new normal and is there to stay. So we'll definitely touch on that. But before we do that, Bryson and Tom, a couple of words about yourself and how long the village has been going on and where we're at now. Bryson, you want to get going with that?
Actually, I'm going to let Tom go first because he really.
Let me do that again. Credit. Tom, do you want to go?
He needs to get credit since he was the original fire with that group to get it to where it is today.
All right. Thank you, everyone. My name is Tom VanNorman, co-founder with Bryson on the ICS Village. See, I think we're probably going on, Bryson, chime in if I'm wrong here, but I think it's 8, maybe 9 years now that we started the first ICS Village back in DEF CON 21, 22. It's been an exciting journey for sure. Back when we started it, no idea we'd grow it to be a nonprofit with paying sponsors and all the great content that we have today. But the Village, what it was back then, is not the same what it is now. Our core values are still the same. We go to conferences, we go to different events, and share experiences, education, bring awareness to different technology and challenges and everything to industrial control systems. For DEF CON this year, though, we have a lot of really great things planned for the event. We have several dozen speakers lined up. We have escape room from SZA that'll be there. We have back about first of the year we merged with Maritime Village. They decided to jump on or fall underneath the ICS Village umbrella, since there are a lot of things that happen within the maritime industry that are industrial control system. So they are bringing their capture the flag. We have workshops from DDS, some maritime workshops, some ICS workshops. We just have a whole plethora of events planned for the 3 days that we're going to be there.
All right, Tom, thank you for demonstrating that no plan survives first contact. So back to my introduction. I'm also the co-founder of the ICS Village. And one of the big changes that has happened since about where you first met us was growing really from a hacker passion project to a formal 501c3 nonprofit. And that was significant because of several things. First of all, hacker projects mean lots of money out of our own pockets because DEF CON does not compensate the villages for being there. And that costs money to bring things. And one of the challenges we had is we work with industrial control systems, which tend to be heavy and large. So that was always expensive and we had to pay for that. Now with formal sponsorship, that gives us a budget which allowed us to grow from just DEF CON and RSA to events that we do throughout the year and a lot of virtual things that we do. In addition, we've established memorandums of understanding with Department of Energy and with the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. So we're working with them in tandem throughout the year. I know it's strange because most people experience the villages just as that awesome hands-on experience at the event itself, not realizing that there's another 362 days around the year that we're doing other work and preparation for that. And then with our mission of providing education awareness around critical infrastructure, that's a large part of what we do around the year as well. Including we created our own conference annually called Hack the Capitol, which happens every May in Washington, D.C., where we bring practitioners, the hacker community, to Washington, D.C. so that they can speak directly to the folks in power so that they're a little more aware, a little more educated before they write a law, and hopefully build some relationships so that they know who to reach out and talk to. The pandemic was difficult for us as a village, I think, just as it was for everyone. And this is an area where Tom led some really cool research because, again, our stuff does not work as easily as just like throw a VM on it and have multiple concurrent people dial into it. And so Tom had to do some unique research and development to allow our village to go completely virtual, which we still maintain the legacy of that by doing a lot of events hybrid. So even though there's an in-person component, there's still a virtual component for speakers and attendees. Tom, if you want to talk about the virtual stuff.
Absolutely. So when the pandemic first hit and everything went virtual, we contacted some of the vendors that we're already doing business with, and we got together and created a live, or I'm sorry, not live, but a virtual interactive display of our hardware that we would bring to different conferences. So you go on our website, You can view it now. You can hear Bryson talk. Back then, he had a little bigger beard though, and he would explain everything. But it's pretty cool because we can go and interact with what we would normally bring to conferences. We also hosted and streamed all of our talks on our website. So whether the conference used Discord or one of the other various streaming platforms or chat platforms, we would go and record all those talks. We put them up on our YouTube channel. We would post them there. But the really neat thing is we were able to go and virtualize our range environment. We were able to be online during these virtual events to answer questions, whether it be chat, either text or voice. It was a struggle, but we were able to work through it and bring value to different conferences.
Yeah, super cool. And I can imagine the number of folks that you get connected with through that means where they can't actually always make it to a conference, especially one like DEF CON or Black Hat. And I want to roll the tape back a little bit, Bryson, because some of our listeners may not be aware of why the village or any village exists, right? Yours or others. And I'm just wondering, can you share what the vision, mission, objectives, goals are for the village? Because I personally think that the work that you've done have probably driven things forward in the government space, the public sector, more so than maybe a breach or a compromise has. Right?
Might be 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, villages writ large are what I'd like to think of as the old school hacker conference where you could go and you could get hands-on with something with somebody who was passionate and helpful with you right there. And instead of going and hearing a presentation, you actually get to do it. And in our case, you get to see the water change color when you tell the PLC to actuate and stay open, and it changes that. So, that's been a part of our exhibit for a number of years, and is the exact same thing that happened in the attack in 2021 at the Florida water plant, where they added they instructed the HMI to add lie, in that it's the exact same setup that we've been demonstrating. So our stuff has actual real world impact. The villages, again, in general, are discipline focused. So us, industrial control systems are those computers that change the physical world. So when you think about where does your electricity, where does your water come from, all those components of critical infrastructure is what we're there and demonstrating. And we continue to add more components as different parts of the community join us in doing that, whether it's the companies that sponsor us, whether it's individuals that participate. And like Tom mentioned, the inclusion of the Maritime Village. The reason I disagree that we've had a bigger impact is I look at Colonial Pipeline as an example where in 2020, Chris Krebs, who was then the director of the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, and I gave a talk at RSA together, and we predicted the national security threat that was coming of ransomware. So ransomware had sort of been a thing for a few years, and it kind of got a little attention, but we knew that there was going to be more, and it was really going to be a much more significant problem. Colonial Pipeline was that example, because we often forget how much we are in our own echo chamber of jargon, and ransomware was very much that jargon. Colonial Pipeline, because of its impact on the average American citizen, made it a kitchen word. It's something that they now knew, and that kind of thing is what changes the awareness in those components. So a single incident like that fundamentally shifted the entire narrative and attention of this entire country. And as much as I'd like to think that us in 9 years of doing this throughout multiple places had as much of an impact, I think that was the game changer. Certainly, we do a lot of work with the government agencies directly in shaping regulation and policy. We have to do that more in a general expert way because of 501c3. We are limited from specific guidance.
Yeah, I'm going to keep putting the pat on your back though, because I have a class of students, MBA students, and they all knew about the Colonial Pipeline. So the awareness, yes, the event drives awareness, but the understanding and how to analyze it and the impact it can have beyond that one incident and beyond that particular infrastructure. I think you guys have done a tremendous job, because it's the big picture. How do we move forward? Not that just something happened, right? So, I don't want to sound like a commercial here, but I really appreciate what you're doing, and then the other villages as well, each in their own domain, helping to do the research and raise awareness and have the conversations with government entities to help move things forward. So,
yeah, the way I see it, Sean, is the fact that you guys, and this is the profession in general, you have been yelling and alerting everyone that these things could happen, right? And I'm not just talking about the ICS, but all the other villages. And then things really happen. Now, I'm not saying you brought bad luck, because it wasn't going to happen anyway. But then when it did happen, people would know who to go to talk to. So go talk to the news and get the opinion. And we were already there. This said, I think I love when you said, Bryson, that the kitchen talk, that what you referred to as the now people know what it is. And I think even other events, recent events, started to show how everything really connected is, from real, like the pipes, the gas pipes. You can turn it on and off, and the entire globe is affected by it. And then it's easy at that point to think, well, that's voluntarily done, but it could be done voluntarily, but by cyber criminals, and that's a different story. So how do you feel your role has been with the general public? I mean, have you been able to bring this circus to the public, or are you still working on it? How far is it?
That's tough. So we're looking at different virtual exercises and things that we can do to do that. We've partnered with multiple think tanks as a way to do that as well. So the Wilson Center, our Street Institute, the Atlantic Council have all been partners at various stages with trying to do that kind of engagement. But it's hard, because how do you get that access? I mean, Colonial got us on the news multiple times. We even had a sit down that still is not aired with CBS, where we went through. Tom spent a lot of time putting together a detailed demonstration of exactly what happened with the Florida water hack, where we recreated the entire attack chain to physical demonstration. And then, as always, the news moves on. So as far as that segment still is not aired, I don't know if it ever will. Tom, anything you want to add to that?
No, other than you're right, Bryson. We spent a tremendous amount of time on that. And hey, news changes all the time. Something new came up, and focus got shifted on other things. So,
talking about shift of focus, and we spent some time with the Maritime Village a few years back. Last time we were in person in Vegas, and I don't know. In our conversations with them, we often looked at the sea. Right, so obviously boats and things like that connecting to satellites. So my natural inclination would be that they would roll under maybe the aerospace village, or where they're working with satellites and those types of communications. I find it interesting that they've rolled in under ICS. Can you maybe share a little bit of why that is and how that fits in?
One. Maritime is not just boats, right? Maritime is also port infrastructure. Satellites are really just backbone overhaul, right? Communications. An example of that we've seen in Ukraine, right, is on that first day, the Russians attacked the SATCOM provider Viasat, and the impact on that was to 5,800 wind turbines in Germany, because they depended on that infrastructure. So I think what you start to see is the interconnected nature of infrastructure means you could skin these things a lot of different ways?
With the transformation of the plant floor now, you take your sensing elements, your transmitters, your all your components out there on your plant floor. They're communicating up to the cloud. They're communicating maybe not through satellite, but they are going across some sort of internet backhaul capability up to the cloud for processing and stuff like that. So you have similar things with maritime, with ships communicating, in this case, satellite or radio, up to a cloud provider to do something and back down to shipboard or to land and things like that. So there's a lot of similarities there, but when you go down to the actual control of the vessels or control of the cranes and moving cargo and stuff like that, there's a lot of the similar hardware that you'll find from major manufacturers. From your turbines or motors that turn your propulsion systems all the way to how the cranes operate. You're going to find sensing elements. You're going to find switches and communications and Ethernet networks and serial networks and all of that stuff. So there are a lot of technologies that overlap between the two.
Yeah, it makes sense. Definitely does make sense. And I want to stick with you, Tom. You mentioned a couple things, and I'm gonna have you describe a little more the escape room. What is the escape room you're doing this year?
So the escape room is a room that the folks from INL or Idaho National Labs are bringing to DEF CON. First time that they're doing it. We're super excited. They have their own dedicated room. You sign up. You show up in person. I don't know how many people they're going to have go through it once, but it takes about 45 minutes to an hour to go through. And you have to go in there and you have to solve challenges. They would not share the challenges with us ahead of time. They keep that under close hold for good reasons there. But it's a game that you're going to play in person. I had the opportunity to go out to Idaho National Labs back in January and run through one of the escape rooms that they have. The one I ran through was a space theme where you had to start the HVAC system up on the space station before everybody perished. They're not bringing that one; they're bringing a different one, but it's pretty cool. You have to work as a team. You have no idea who your team members are unless all your buddies going to sign up at the same time and get the same slot. But you're working most of the time with strangers to go through and solve the challenges, solve the puzzles in order to complete the objective of the room.
And this is the world debut of the full escape room. We did a small version at our Hack the Capitol this past May, and won't share who, but we are going to be doing a special closed VIP session with somebody important.
Nice.
Okay, I'm not gonna make guess.
I'm gonna guess.
I do have an idea.
Sit here until we guess. All right. I'm gonna go back to you. Oh, go ahead, Marco.
Oh no, I just want to stick with this because I feel like the gaming element has always been a very important learning tool, and sometimes I think overlooked by the traditional educational system where everything is much more strict. But it's been proven that when you participate and you interact with a group of people and you're actually having fun and resolving real life, even if it's virtual thing, it helps you to understand much more. And I feel like I'm just like throwing it there. Maybe you're already thinking about that for the future, but like I'm assuming maybe in a virtual environment, even people that are not there at the Village in Las Vegas could eventually do a portion of the game or anything like that. I mean, I'm just thinking about the future and how to get involved more people.
So the capture of the flag, that's part of what I was trying to highlight with what Tom had done. That was turned completely virtual. And he created this really neat middleware to time slice access to these physical devices, which are not built to handle concurrent connections. So that's a part that we continue to bring forward. We've also been doing exploration with augmented reality. If you go to our website, icsvillage.com, there's actually an augmented reality overlay with our main wall, and me virtually like explaining things as you click on it. And that's something we're trying to go further with, because that enhances that. And real credit on a lot of those ideas to Nina over at the Biohacking Village, who's been a true pioneer on that kind of technology. Tom?
One more comment about the escape room there. The thing that sets that apart with a lot of different, a lot of other activities are, you have to talk to everybody. You just can't go in and do it by yourself. It's for socialization. You must talk to the other people on your team. If you do not communicate, you just won't be successful at it. When we go to the virtual environment, it's real easy for nobody to talk to anybody. But when we're into these escape rooms and these other in-person events, you must communicate to your partners, to your teammates, or you will not be successful. The escape room, you go in there and look at it, and you find a bunch of objects. They put stuff on the walls and tables and stuff like that, and they tell a really good story. But you say, hey, there's a cash box, for example, with a little block on it. Just simple devices, but you have to be able to find a combination. In order to find a combination, you have to talk to the people to the left and right of you. You have to be able to communicate in order to be successful at that. And that's what I find most exciting about the escape rooms is, hey, we're getting back in the same room. We're talking. We're solving a common problem here.
I don't know who wants to go with this, but I want to talk about the workshops, because I think we talked a bit about awareness, but then following that is the understanding, right? What happened? Why did it happen? Where might it happen again next? What can we prepare for? And I believe a lot of the stuff that comes through the workshops helps the community with that understanding, right? Research is being done, tools that have been developed. Who can share what some of the workshops are, and maybe, I don't know if there are presentations as well, kind of what can people expect in the few days of the village, and in addition to the escape room and the Maritime CTF?
So right now we have several workshops planned. One of them is DDS, Defense Digital Services. They have a microgrid workshop that they had at Hack the Capitol back in May. They're going to bring the same one to DEF CON. That's going to run the entire conference. Phantom 5 is going to put on a maritime-based workshop. That you have to look at our schedule. It runs a couple of times during the event, and we're still in the final phases of trying to get an ICS workshop scheduled in there. The workshop by DDS and Phantom 5, they are time-consuming. They do take up a lot of the schedule, but definitely stop by and take a look to both the Maritime and the Microgrid workshop.
Very, very cool. It sounds exciting, and I would like to kind of finish this conversation preparing the audience, letting them know that we will connect with you guys live streaming during the event. So kind of cool for us to actually show everyone that maybe they've never seen what's like to be in a village, DEF CON. And so we're definitely looking forward to that one. And I would love
that'll be live streamed on YouTube and social media, but we'll link to the live YouTube stream so folks can catch us for that.
Yep. So we'll definitely see in person this tremendous event that it's really, really important, these and all the other villages. And I'd love to leave you guys a couple of minutes, both of you, to make a call to action for the people that will be at DEF CON, and why should they come to the village, say hi, of course, but also to see all the things we've been talking about now. So a couple of minutes each, and then you can close for us, so we can just leave right now.
Reasons to come to the ICS Village, you see Bryson, myself, and the countless sponsors that we have there. We are one of the original villages there. We've been going for, we'll say, 8 years now. We put a lot of time and effort, sweat into this. We feel as though we have a great schedule between the escape room, the capture the flag, the several dozen talks that we have, the different workshops. We are bringing a VR component this year to our demo room. So the folks that I know, they're also bringing that. We can put on the glasses and look back at National Labs and see the different seller skids that they have and interact with them. So we have a very large space. We have over 6,000 square feet of space in Caesar's Forum this year. So by all means, stop by, talk to Bryce and myself, or any of the event or any of the sponsors. We could not have done this without the help and collaboration of our sponsors, of our volunteers, and all the other people that chipped in and helped us.
Because it matters to you. Data, if it gets lost.
Who is you? I mean, there's a whole range of people.
The audience. You asked us to speak to the audience of why they should, and because
is it policymakers, hackers? Who do you want there?
All of you. You as everyone listening, right? And why? Because this is what modern society rests on. If we lose water, electricity, or finance, we go to the Stone Ages overnight, immediately. The impact of critical infrastructure is not one of, again, like, what is the real damage of data that's constantly being debated? It's this many millions for a breach or this or that. Ours is measured in loss of life, in real damage to people. This is, again, the physical world. It is not the abstract world of computers. And it affects all of us. It is a society challenge. So please join us to learn more about it and help us help all of us.
Yep. So I like that call to challenge. Join the team, virtually, in person, Las Vegas or online, your choice. And yeah, lots of ways to engage, lots of ways to learn, lots of ways to make a difference. And
I do want to add one thing. So
please go for it.
This all seems like very scary and technical, and is not the traditional computer that everybody knows that sits on their desktop or the computer that they hold in their hand. I assure you that our village has a principle that I call the spouse test. Nothing in our village is allowed to have content that is not so accessible that, just like if you work in IT and you have to explain to your spouse what you do, that's how our village is designed. Everything is there that you don't have to know anything to learn something and to get something out of it. If you're an expert, the rabbit hole goes pretty deep, but anybody could benefit from this. So you don't have to know, and don't feel intimidated that you don't prior. That's our job.
Yep. Excellent point.
Even I can understand something.
I wouldn't go that far.
So easy, a Marco can do it.
Exactly.
Well, on a serious note, for everybody listening, please do join Tom and Bryson in the ICS Village. And please do continue to join us for our live stream with them from the event, and for all of our coverage of Black Hat and DEF CON, for all a part of Hacker Summer Camp Week there in Las Vegas. There'll be links to the Village website, icsvillage.com, I believe it is. Their social handles, perhaps the Discord, and everything else that you need to know to connect with Tom and Bryson and the crew there in Vegas and beyond. It's not a one-shot deal. Keep the circus going. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Bryson. Good to catch up with you.
Pantera, the leader in automation security validation, allows organizations to continuously test the integrity of all cybersecurity layers by emulating real-world attacks at scale to pinpoint the exploitable vulnerabilities and prioritize remediation towards business impact. Learn more at www.pantera.io.
EdgeScan offers continuous vulnerability intelligence as a service, accurately identifying vulnerabilities and exposures across the full stack. All threats are verified by cybersecurity experts, providing exploitable risk and remediation guidance, virtually false positive free. Learn more at edgescan.com.
CrowdSec, the collaborative and open source cybersecurity solution. Analyze behaviors, respond to attacks, and share signals across the community for free. Let's make the internet safer together. Learn more at crowdsec.net. We hope you enjoyed this episode of our on-location conversation. If you learned something new and this podcast made you think, then share itspmagazine.com with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our podcast channels. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.